Hello, this is Mrs. Ward, and I'm going to go over the 7576 take-home review. So number one, they're asking you to find x, y, and z. So remember, they have these two matrices set equal to each other, which means every element in the first matrix has to equal the element in the second matrix. So for example, when I have row 1, column 2, I have this 3. Row 1, column 2 in the second matrix, I also have to have that 3. And I'm going to use that property to find x. So here I have 5x plus 12, which is in row 1, column 1. I'm going to set that equal to the element which is in row 1, column 1 from the first matrix. And when I do that, I am going to have my equation is going to be 27 is equal to 5x plus 12. Subtract 12 from both sides, and I'm going to have 15 is equal to 5x. Divide both sides by 5, and x is equal to 3. Now I'm going to go in search of my y. My y I can see is in row 2, column 1. Row 2, column 1 is 81. So my equation is going to be 9y is equal to 81. Whoopsie, that's an 81. Divide both sides by 9, and I'm going to get y is equal to 9. And the last one, I see z is in row 1, sorry, row 3, column 1. So I am going to set 5 equal to z minus 1, adds 1 to both sides, and I'm going to have z is equal to 6. So those are my answers for x, y, and z. The next one, it wants me to multiply. So when I multiply, I am going to, well, first I'm going to add. So this is a 2 by 2. And this is a 2 by 2. So since they're exactly the same dimensions, I can add them. So 3a is going to be, just multiplying this all by 3, I'm going to have 9, 6, 12, and negative 3. Minus 2b. And I'm going to do this one different than I did the other one. I'm going to do plus the negative. So I'm going to distribute a negative 2. Either way works as long as you're consistent and you remember what you're doing. So this is negative 2, positive 4, 0, and positive 2. Now, since I multiplied by a negative 2, I am going to just add these two. And when I do that, I get 7, 10, 12, and negative 1. This next one, B, they want me to multiply. Well, again, just because the matrices are the same dimension doesn't necessarily that you could, means that you can multiply. These two numbers here have to match, and they do, so I can multiply. So when I multiply, I'm going to just copy these down so I can see them. And I'm multiplying that by B. So I am going to do row 1 times column 1. So I'm taking 3 times 1 plus 2 times 0, and I am going to get 3. Row 1, column 2, I'm going to take 3 times negative 2 plus 2 times negative 1, so that's negative 6 plus a negative 2, which will be negative 8. I'm going to do row 2, column 1, so that's 3 times 1 plus 2 times 0. Oh no, what am I doing? Row 2. 4 times 1 plus negative 1 times 0, and I am going to get 4. And then finally, row 2, column 2 is going to be 4 times negative 2 plus negative 1 times negative 1. That's negative 8 plus 1. That'll be negative 7. So my final answer is 3, negative 8, 4, negative 7. And the last one it wants me to do is a squared. So C is a squared. A is 3, 2, 4, negative 1. A squared means A times A. So A times A, which is A squared. So row 1, column 1, 3 times 3 plus 2 times 4. That's 9 plus 8, which is 17. Row 1, column 2, 3 times 2 plus 2 times negative 1. So that's 6 plus negative 2, which will be 4. Row 2, column 1 will be 3 times No, row 2, Mrs. Ward, row 2. 4 times 3 plus negative 1 times 4, so that's 12 minus 4, which is 8. And then the last one, row 2, column 2. This is going to be 4 times 2 plus negative 1 times negative 1, so that's 8 plus 1, which is 9. So my a squared is 17, 4, 8, and 9. Okay, the next one, they want me to find the inverse using the formula. So again, that formula, if I have a matrix that's A, B, C, D, to find the inverse, I'm doing the determinant. So AD minus BC. I'm taking the reciprocal of that, and I'm switching the D and the A, and the C and the B change signs. They stay in the same position, but they change signs. So when I do A, I'm taking negative 3 minus a negative 4. So that ends up being 1, well, 1 over 1, which is just 1. The negative 3 and the 1 change places. The 4 and the 1 change signs. So my inverse will be negative 3, negative 4, 1, 1. And that is my inverse. So much easier to do it this way. 2 times 3, which is 6, minus 2, negative 2 times negative 2, which will be a positive 2, and I end up with 4. So I'm going to take 1/4, and I'm going to multiply it by 2 and the 3 change places. The 1 becomes positive, the 2 becomes positive. Now when I distribute, I'm going to have 1/2, 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and that is my inverse. Okay, 4A is finding the inverse using the Gauss-Jordan elimination, which means I am going to write my matrices and put the identity on the other side, and I'm going to solve it that way. So I'm going to do row 1 and row 2 to eliminate the x. So I'm going to multiply row 1 by a positive 2. So when I do that, 2 times row 1, I'm going to get 2, negative 6, 2, 0. Row 2 is going to be negative 2, positive 6, 0, 1. The x's become 0. The y's also become 0, 2, 1. So once I have these two zeros, that means it's not possible to find the inverse. So I'm going to say not invertible. And to do a double check, if I went up here and I did 6 times 1, that would be 6 minus negative 2 times negative 3, that would be 6, and that would be 0. And when I tried to use that formula, I'd be multiplying by 1 over 0, which is undefined. So if you get one that's not invertible, 2 by 2, that's a quick check to make sure that you did your math right. So that one is not invertible. B, we're going to find the inverse of a 3 by 3. So I am going to write it with the identity matrix next to it. And I am going to do row 1 and row 2 in such a way that my x is eliminated. How about if I multiply row 1 by a positive 3? So we're going to take positive 3 times row 1. So that'll be negative 6, negative 9, 3, 3, 0, 0. And then we'll multiply row 2 by a negative 2. And that'll be positive 6, negative 2, 0, negative 2, 0. And when I add this is 0, this will be negative 3, positive 1, 3, negative 2, and 0. So I'm going to copy that down. Then I am going to do row 1 and row 3 to eliminate the x. I'm going to just multiply row 1 by a negative 1. So negative 1 times row 1, no equal sign. It's going to be 2, 3, negative 1, negative 1, 0, 0. And then row 3 will be negative 2, negative 4, 1. And when I add, I'm going to get 0, negative 1, 0. So, I'm wondering if I'll mess you up if I do this. You'll have to let me, well, you won't let me know because I'm recording this. So I see that, and what I see is that I have this row done. See how I have that 0 and 0 here, and I have the 1. So what I'm going to do, if you don't mind, is I am going to copy down row 1 just the way it was. So copying down row 1, so negative 2, negative 3, 1. Then I'm going to move this up to row 2 and divide by negative 1 at the same time. So this will be 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. And then I'm going to move this guy down here. So this will be 0, negative 3, 1, 3, negative 2, 0. All right, that makes me happy. All right, now what I'm going to do, of course, I need to copy this down here. So that was a 1. So now this is a negative 1. Oh my. Okay, so I divide that by negative 1. I have that, so now I'm good. I'm still going to follow that same pattern. I am going to do row 2 and row 3 to eliminate the y. So I'm going to multiply row 2 by 3. So when I do that, 3 times row 3 times row 2, actually. So 0, 3, 0, 3, 0, negative 3. And then row 3 is going to be 0, negative 3, 1, 3, negative 2, 0. So when I add, I'm going to get 0, 0, 1, 6, negative 2, negative 3. So I have 0, 0, 1, 6, negative 2, negative 3, then 0, 1, 0. Then the next thing according to your pattern is to do row 2 and row 3 to eliminate that z, but that z is already gone. That's why I switched the 2 rows so I could skip that step. So I'm good with that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do row 3 and row 1 to eliminate that x. So when I so let's erase first. And when I catch a mistake, that's because I'm constantly going up and checking what I've done before to make sure that I match. So up until this point, row 1 has not changed at all. So now I'm going to multiply row 1 by a negative 1. So I'm going to do negative 1 times row 1. So negative row 1 will be positive 2, positive 3, negative 1, negative 1, 0, 0. And then here I'm writing down row 3, 1. And when I add, I'm going to get 2, 3, 0, 5, negative 2, negative 3. And then you know how I like to skip steps here. So I want to eliminate this 3. So I'm going to multiply row 2 by negative 2. So negative 2 times row 2, and this is my row 1 right now. So when I do that, I am going to negative 3. I am going to have 0, negative 3, 0, negative 3, 0, positive 3. And when I do that, I'm going to have 2, 0, 0. Then this will be a 2, this will be a negative 2, and this will be a 0. divide everything by 2. I'm going to have 1, 0, 0, 1, negative 1, 0. So my inverse is going to be 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 0, negative 1, 6, negative 2, negative 3. And then the last one, it wants you to write the system as the coefficients times the variable is equal to the answers. And that's what this is saying. Coefficients times the variables is equal to the answers. So my coefficients are 1, negative 2, 2, negative 3, times my x and my y is equal to my answer 0, 3. So that's the first part. It says solve the system using an inverse matrix by hand, showing all steps. Okay, so I am going to find the inverse of this 2 by 2. So to find the inverse of this 2 by 2, I am always going to use the formula. So I'm going to have negative 3 minus a negative 4, which ends up being 1. So I'm going to have 1, reciprocal of 1, which is 1. Switch to negative 3 and 1. Change the signs on the 2. So this inverse is just going to be negative 3, 2, negative 2, 1. And I'm going to take that inverse and I'm going to multiply it by the answers, which are 0, 3. And I'm going to have row 1, column 1, negative 3 times 0 plus 2 times 3, and I'm going to get 6. Row 2, column 1 is going to be negative 2 times 0 plus 1 times 3, and I'm going to get 3. So my xy is equal to 6, 3. Whoopsie, no line. And if you wanted to check it real quick on your calculator, you could go up here, well, and say like xy is equal to the inverse of 1, negative 2, 2, negative 3. You're going to take the inverse of that and multiply. You could do that in your calculator real quick to check. And that's it. I hope this helps.